Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Humans of Crypto podcast. This one is a special one. I am joined by the one and only Tey El Rjula. We dive into his incredible, epic journey from living in the Netherlands to mining to celebrating Bitcoin Pizza Day and an assylum center here in the Netherlands, all the way to his current efforts today with Flus Finance and Superstand Market by supporting the Afghani and Lebanese diaspora to spend their cryptocurrencies to help their family on the ground to get the basic necessities. This is truly an honor to be able to have this conversation with him, to share his journey and his mission with you all. This episode really was very special to record. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Oh my God, Tey, thank you so much for joining me for the Humans of Crypto podcast. Welcome. It's an absolute honor to have you here. Really, I can't wait to share your story with our listeners. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I remember our first encounter when I was, diving into all your history. There's so much to tell. But when I think back at the first time I saw you on that stage, we were at a permissionless meetup. Or was it Blockchain Talks? I can't remember which one it was, but it was like a meetup and you were talking about Taiken at the time. Like, you've done so
True.
much since.
True.
That was
Yeah,
like
I think we met at Blockchain Talks,
I
our
think
our
so.
first our
Yeah.
first meetup in Amsterdam. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was a
yeah.
pretty cool event. At that time, I think blockchain. Yeah, it is still a buzzword, but it was a big buzzword.
Yeah.
Now we have seen big innovations in this space, and things have dramatically changed at a very accelerated pace. So, yeah, humans in crypto is usually underestimated. But at the end of every talk, like especially in my TEDx talks, I always say that this technology is about humans, and technology by itself doesn't do anything. It's humans that do. So I'm happy to be here again.
So yeah, I mean, you're so right about the idea of the what do we do with the tech, and it's about people. And just looking at your journey, like, can we just like roll back a little bit? Because I'm not sure everybody who's going to listen is going to be like, oh yeah, Tey, I know who that is.
Yeah,
Like, you have the most atypical story, and we have pretty exceptional people in crypto, but I think your journey, marks people more than
thank you,
anything.
thank you.
Do you mind sharing how
Definitely,
your
definitely. I
story?
mean, the journey started in late 2011, beginning 2012. It was my first interactions with Bitcoin. And at the end of 2012, I decided to be a miner.
Yeah,
So I ordered my first batch of miners from Butterfly Labs. Nothing
really.
came. Nothing came. I paid like top dollars for it, and I was working in the Netherlands. In the Dutch terms, it's called a kennisimmigrant or a knowledge worker. So I was hired from Dubai to come to the Netherlands, to The Hague, and train a healthcare company on a CRM software called Siebel that
Okay.
I used in Dubai with my previous employer, which was DU Telecoms, the first telecom provider in the new section of Dubai. They were using Siebel as a CRM system, and this company in The Hague hired me to train their employees who had exposure to the Middle Eastern communities here and the North African communities. So they wanted an Arabic speaker. And
Yeah.
this is when I came in touch with Bitcoin, and I was paid, to be honest, a good salary. So the money I saved, I bought miners with it. I wasn't interested at all in financial inclusion. I wasn't
Hmm.
interested at all in the things that I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Mainly, my interest was I'm seeing something that I can sell for a 20-30% premium, and I can make good money out of it. I didn't understand what is money. I didn't know how to define money, how to explain money. Um, Butterfly Labs was a big flop for me. I lost the money that I put there. As I said, the machines didn't come. The year late, like a few months later, I heard about the Bitmain in China, that they were releasing a new type of miners, much more efficient, much more cheaper. And from the feedback I was hearing on the Bitcoin forums, that yes, it's working.
Hmm.
So I ordered my first batch, and I had a small student room in The Hague. So it was a one-bedroom apartment that usually they rent out for students. Why I'm mentioning this, because the people who rent these type of units, they know that it comes all inclusive with water, electricity, internet. You just pay one price,
I
and
see. I'm starting to
miners.
understand.
Miners,
Nice.
yeah, miners, they need electricity. And I
Hmm.
said, okay, it's a good deal.
Uh-huh.
I was using the miners in the winter as a source of heat. So
Yes.
2013, I remember it was the first time that I see snow and the first time that I touch snow. And I was
Hmm.
so pissed that on my balcony there was no snow at all. The room was so like warm that the snow was not able to stick to the ground. The noise was horrible.
Oh my God.
The heat was unbearable, although we were in February, like midwinter. And one of the neighbors actually complained to the police and said, "Hey, there is a
Really?
guy who has a big beard, who's a little bit tanned, and he
Oh
keeps
shit.
on going in and out, and we hear
Mm-hmm.
a lot of noise. So we think he's growing weed in his apartment."
Yeah, and there's no snow on his balcony.
Exactly. There's no snow, so the police, like, they directly took action, and there was a raid on my house. To be honest, this was towards beginning of March,
Whoa.
2013. The police raided my house, and they
What?
came. Yeah, the SWAT actually came in the house, and they were
What?
looking. Yeah, they were looking for ammunitions. They were looking for weapons. They were looking for drugs.
And you're
What
like,
they
well,
found was minors. So I do remember that they nailed a paper written by hand on the door, and they put a lock on the door as well. And they said, "Please come to the police station to take your lock, to take the key to your apartment." So I come from the Middle East, so going to
mm,
the police is something like really scary. And they gave me coffee, they apologized, and they said, "Please give us your bank account because we need to pay you for the damage that we did for the door." And it was a really lovely conversation. um,
okay.
that time I moved the miners from my home into a warehouse in Ippenberg in Noodorp. um, there I like grew this business, and I said, "You know what, we're getting a lot of requests from people who want to mine,
Yeah.
but they don't know how." So I bought a case, an empty case, an empty PC case. I removed the PCB boards from the S1 miners at that time, and I put them in this case, put some lights, some fans, a switch on off button, and I started something called turbominer.com. This was my first entrepreneurial business. I've never thought of myself to be an entrepreneur. And because I lived in Dubai, I know a lot of people there. So I started calling guys there and said, "Hey, I'm selling plug and play miners. You can just put them in the electricity, you switch them on, and they make bitcoins for you that come into your wallet directly. So you don't have to trust me with your bitcoins or with your money or nothing." Um, how did I sell them? I used to put the miners on a table, write the name of the client, take some pictures with the date, with my driving license next to it, and send them. When the clients see these things, then they call me. I think there are some pictures on Bitcoin Talk, the bitcointalk.org, the first Bitcoin forum, because there I was advertising for it. And around that time, Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken, was between fluctuating between like $300 to $600. It breached $1,000, 1,100, 1,200 the first time. And I said, yes, like I'm really smart. I bought something at $20 and I'm selling it at 1,200. And I never, ever even thought in my wildest dreams that we're going to see Bitcoin at 10K.
Right.
So, not even to imagine now, it almost hit $70,000. Um, it was good. And as I said, I'm just making profits not on the price of Bitcoin going up. My profits were basically on the price of the equipment I was selling. And towards the end of 2013, I get a letter from my previous employer in the Netherlands who said, you know what, we are facing somehow a crisis in the healthcare industry. The subsidies that the government used to give to the healthcare sector has been reduced, and we cannot anymore employ skilled labor immigrants in our company and pay these high salaries. So apologies, we have to cancel your work contract. Now, this was in exactly January 2nd, 2014. And I didn't really care a lot because, yeah, I had Bitcoins, I had my miners, I had my
Yeah.
business. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just do my residency on my own business. And here, where I knew, like you have to open a BV, you have to have a certain amount of money to open it. I think it was at that time 18,000 euros in capital. And my passport, and here where my journey started. My passport, I'm Syrian, I carry the Syrian nationality. My passport was expiring in around 1 year. So it was not impossible even to open a business or to renew my residency. And as time is passing by, we reached March 2014, and I realized, hey, my the time that they gave me to fix out my issue has already passed. So
Mm.
3 months has passed from January to March 2014, and now technically I'm illegal in the country, although my residency card is valid till the end of 2014. So this gave me somehow some comfort to know that my residency is valid till the end of 2014. I still have around 9 months to fix my issues, to fix my residency issues. And I've been in the Netherlands since 2011. So almost 5 years. I said, yes, I'm going to get my Dutch citizenship and my worries will be over.
Yeah.
2014 was the climax of the Syrian civil war. You started seeing on television, long lines of Syrians at asylum centers. They're coming to ask for asylum. The war in Syria was escalating. The borders were closing. Lebanon closed its borders. Dubai closed its borders. And they started enforcing visa requirements on Syrians. And, it is almost impossible to get a visa due to the war, of course. So I talked to my lawyer, and she said, well, Tay, you live in the Netherlands, you live in The Hague, you have a dog, you have a car, you have a scooter, you go to cheer for ADO Den Haag, our local football club in The Hague, every Sunday. You have a social security number, you have insurance, you have a bank account, you have a Dutch number, you have an address, you live in a place, you live in a house. I don't have any fines, I don't have any issues with the law. So all these checks, they will help you get asylum really quickly. But because it is the climax of the Syrian civil war and we have around 50,000 Syrians coming to the Netherlands, well, it might take you 3 months. And
Mm.
here where it was a little bit, my pride kicked in. I'm living in my own apartment. I'm having the best life that I can have. Clubbing in Rotterdam every Saturday, going Sunday having a beer on the ADO Den Haag Stadium. Okay, we were losing every time, but still the vibe was good. By the way, I think this is the first time that in this year ADO Den Haag they won 5 games after each other. So congrats for them. I'm one of their biggest fans. And this, this gave me the feeling that, okay, it is looking like my life is coming to an end, because I don't want to go to the camp. The idea of going to a refugee camp is an impossible thing. It's a no. Because my imagination was playing. There will be a tent. I have to live with other people. I have to live in open space, and yeah, uncertainty. So what's gonna happen? I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to. I'm going back to Syria. I'm going back to
Hmm.
Syria. Although I've never ever lived in Syria, I have absolutely no clue how does Syria look from the inside. I lived
Whoa.
in Lebanon most of my time. I grew up in Lebanon. I studied in Lebanon, in Beirut. I graduated from the university in Beirut. So all my life, I'm associated with Lebanon, with Dubai, although I carry the Syrian nationality. And, my parents will definitely not accept that. And somehow it was a suicide mission, because I'm seeing, uh, ISIS, and I'm seeing war, and I'm seeing all these things on TV. And I said, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fight ISIS, and I'm going to just end my life there. September. This was March. Like March, this idea started to play. I'm never going to apply for asylum. This, the pride, the emotions that were playing, that no, this is not gonna happen. March, April, May, June, July, August, I'm struggling in accepting the fact that I have to go to Ter Apel, to the northern part of Holland, to take a train from the Hague Central Station to Zwolle, and from Zwolle you take a bus to Emmen, and from Emmen you take another bus to Ter Apel. So it was relatively, if I look at it now, it's a trip. It's a vacation. It's You're not going to apply for asylum compared to what people in Syria had to go through to come to the Netherlands. I didn't know this. Some people had to walk from Damascus to Netherlands. Walk. So if you're missing a tram after 12 o'clock going home, and you look at your Google Maps and you say, what the fuck, I have to walk 40 minutes back home. Yeah. Some people are walking from Damascus to Netherlands, literally walking. And they use Google Maps for that. They use their smartphones for that. And we're going to come to the importance of that point later. So I decided in September, to ditch my plans going to Syria, and go apply for asylum. Now, what triggered that thing? And by the way, this story, I I wrote a book, and I talked about it in the book. I talked about the emotional struggle that I had going and leaving everything behind, leaving my identity. We always somehow like struggle to explain the Dutch identity. And Queen Maxima herself said, actually, the Dutch identity doesn't exist. There is nothing as a Dutch identity. But for me, the Dutch identity was going to watch football on Sunday, having a beer, cycling to work, driving my car on a weekend, having a dog at home, going to the coffee shop, smoking a joint, eating kapsalon, all these swearing in diseases, and
Yeah.
this was the
Yeah.
Dutch thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
September 11 to be exact, I was sitting at home watching TV, and I saw a big migrant boat full of migrants, 500 migrants on board. It sank in the Mediterranean, and there were only two survivors. Something snapped in my head and said, these people are risking all what they have. They are risking their life. They don't have any other option to stay in Syria. What are you doing? you're sitting on your couch in The Hague, in a warm place, in the safest place on earth, and sorry for the word, you're bitching about going to the refugee camp. You just flushed your toilet with drinking water. And those guys, they sank in the Mediterranean. And the reporter was saying that the Mediterranean Sea today is the largest graveyard on earth. From the numbers of migrants that have drowned, it became a graveyard. And many families have lost their children, lost their wives, lost their husbands, lost their brothers, their sisters, trying to take 1% of what I'm having in this country. So this was the switch. I called my landlord and I said, sorry, Mr. Landlord, I have to go apply for asylum, but please keep the apartment for me. Keep my things in the apartment. I'll be back in 3 months because that's what my lawyer told me. But when did she tell me that? She told me that in March. Now, from March till September, the few thousand refugees were that came to the Netherlands, they were multiplied by 10. And I told my neighbor, please take care of my dog, water my plants. I switched off the gas, switched off the water, said, I'll be back in 3 months. I'll see you later, guys. I took the train to Ter Apel and I stood at the police station. I said, I want to apply for asylum. So he looked at my residency card and he said, hey, this is still valid till December 2014. What are you doing here? I said, yes, this is my story. I was working, I lost my job. I can't go back to Syria. I can't go to Dubai. I can't go to Lebanon. He said, yeah, but why don't you go to Kuwait? You are born in Kuwait. I said, yeah, I cannot even go to Kuwait because I don't have the Kuwaiti nationality. I'm Syrian. Look at my passport. And my passport is expiring in less than 6 months. There is no embassy to renew it. All the Syrian embassies were closed. So I'm here. I want to apply for asylum. I said, okay, give us your phone, give us your bag. I had a small backpack, just a few clothes inside it, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, and my phone charger. Stand on the wall, pictures, fingerprints. They took my footprints even, and they gave me a garbage bag, a blue big garbage bag. Inside it was a blanket, shaving kit, soap, a pillow, white sheets. And they said, well, sorry, we don't have places tonight for you. You're going to sleep in the detention center. So detention center is a room. I think it's like 5 meter by 2 meters. And there's nothing in it, not even a chair. Just you sit on the ground. And I stayed there my first night. I slept on the floor the first night. And then the next day, they opened the door and said, well, uh, we have a place for you inside. Please walk with us. At that night, I was thinking, like, what the fuck, man? I should have went back to Syria. And, I was reviewing my thoughts, saying, is this the best idea that I have done? What I have done to my life? What will I tell my parents now that I'm in a refugee camp? Again, you have to understand the Arab pride, the Arab culture of being proud of who we are and what we achieve, and uh, sharing this with the family was difficult, was nearly impossible. My dad would get a heart attack if I tell him I'm in a refugee camp because he boasts about his son. My son is in the Netherlands. My son is doing this. My son is doing that. So I enter in the refugee camp. Now remember, I speak Dutch, I speak English. My accent, Arabic accent, is not Syrian, it's Lebanese. And in the civil war in Syria, there were Lebanese militias participating in the war against the people, with the regime, with the Russians, with the Iranians. So hearing a Lebanese accent in a place full of Syrians, it's like, yeah, how can I explain it? Like it's really it makes people furious. If you go back in time and you're in World War II and a German enters in a room full of Jewish people, they would eat him. So this is the same scenario I'm in. I'm coming in a room where 8 people, 8 Syrian males are inside, double beds, 4 double beds, Everyone had his headset on and looking at his smartphone, dark room. And I enter inside, Assalamu alaikum. Nobody replies. Everyone had his headset on. So I took the bed up and I slept. Next day in the morning, we're lining up to take our breakfast, and they hear my Lebanese accent, and like the whole necks in the refugee camp was turning. I was really scared. The breakfast was two slices of bread. Uh, if you go to any benzene station in the Netherlands, they have something called the flam tosties. It's a two slices of bread with some ham in it and some cheese. It was a flam tosti but without the ham, and we got as well a small transparent plastic bag with two white plastic cups in it, the one bag of tea, two sticks of sugar, and one stick of Nescafe with a plastic spoon. And you have to eat your breakfast in the food court, and then you're allowed to go back to your room. You cannot take food into your room because there is a chance of rats coming in, or for hygiene purposes. You just take your plastic bag and you go back in your room. There is a small water kettle where you can warm up water, and yeah, you can drink a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. Lunch was two boiled eggs with a cup of soup, and dinner was half cooked rice with some vegetables. So after 2 nights of being hungry, I said, "Man, this food is amazing. I should have tried this food when I was in The Hague." Then after like 2 3 weeks, I was saying, "Man, okay, I think I ate a lot of kapsalon in my life, so this is a good diet. I'm looking at the mirror. Hey, I'm losing weight. I'm really happy." Then I think a month and a half passed by, and I said, "No way, I'm gonna put this food in my mouth anymore." So I went to the management of the camp. We call the camp the Kowa. I went to the management to the Kowa, and I told them, "Listen, we have here in this place around. I think at that time we were around 400 men, and many of them can cook. So can we cook breakfast or lunch ourselves in the kitchen?" And they said, "No, because you are not now. You are an asylum seeker. You're not a refugee yet. An asylum seeker, the difference is an asylum seeker, his identity is not yet verified and processed. So you are in a process of verification where you go through three interrogations from the immigration services, with the police, with the secret service, with the whole chain of security in the Netherlands. They have to verify who you are before they give you a permission to stay in the Netherlands." And I said, "Okay, and what does this mean?" They said, "This means if something happens to you, we cannot really take care of you. You're not insured." And I said, "Huh? How?" Like, they said, "Yeah, you just came now, so this is the food that you have. Please, you have to eat it." So I said, "Okay." And there was no internet in the camp, so we had to use our 4G or 3G at that time as well. So I started, my bank account was closed. Uh, my IDs are with the government now. My Syrian passport, my Dutch residency, even my Ovid chip card, I gave it back.
Oh,
So literally, all what I had with me was my smartphone, my charger, internet connection from a SIM card that I had in the previous times. I had a different number even than what I have now. I had a number that ended in 5 sevens. So my number was 0654 77777. So what I used to do is, this was what we call an abonnement. So you have unlimited internet on it. And I started telling the Syrians in my room, "Hey, if you give me two pieces of sugar, I will open my mobile hotspot for you, and we can share the internet." This was my first trade in the camp: sugar for internet. because I love my tea like really sweet.
Okay.
Arabs and Syrians, they don't drink sugar with the tea. They put tea in the sugar. So it was a good trade, and yeah, time passed, weeks, months. We're in that same situation, uncertainty. Every time we ask, okay, when we will be processed, I say, I have to wait. It's too busy. The asylum procedure is on paper, so you do the interview. They give you your interview on paper, and many of those interviews that happened with translators that were non-Syrians, so Moroccans, Iraqis, sometimes even Somalians. We do share the same Arabic language but different dialects.
Yep.
So everyone was afraid of lawyers. They didn't trust them. They didn't trust the government. They didn't trust the IND. They didn't trust the translators. So they used to come to me and ask, hey, please, can you read this document for me and tell me what I said if it's written the same? I do remember there is a guy, now he has his Dutch nationality, he has his own business, he's really successful in the Netherlands. He had a Saudi residency on his passport. So he used to work and live in Saudi Arabia before, and then he went to Syria, and then from Syria he came here. And in the interview, they mentioned that his Saudi visa is still valid. So when I asked him, hey, here in the report it says your Saudi visa is still valid. Is that true? He said, no, it's expired long time ago. So we had to go back and correct it. That incident changed his course of asylum, or else he would have been in a different category with more time and more waiting time and more uncertainty. This is the first time that I felt I'm a little bit loved. I'm a little bit appreciated and a little bit respected. Just a little bit. But when did this whole thing blew up and change? It was May 20, I think May 2015. We were like really fed up from the food, and we moved from Ter Apel into Zwolle. And Zwolle was a camp that they like set up really quick. It was the place was a showroom they used to do dog shows in it. So they bring dogs and they make nice shows for them. The place there, it was a showroom for such events. They were kind enough to not do a show in 2015 and turn it into an asylum camp in order to host refugees. If you watch back in time 2015 at NOS 3, the Dutch television, you will see me the first guy entering in the camp. They brought cameras to show how the camp is really brand new from inside, new mattresses, new beds, new kitchen, pool table, air hockey, new showers, new bathrooms, splinter new. I was the first guy to set foot in this camp, and we were all doing like this, hiding our faces with the jackets. And the mayor come, some people from the government came, and now I'm with a new group. And again, I have to tell my story. My name is Tey. I'm born in Kuwait. I lived in Lebanon. I worked in Dubai. I came to the Netherlands. I lost my job. And now I'm applying for asylum. This was a record that I was playing every single time newcomers came in the camp. And every day we had newcomers. So the news spread in the camp that, hey, this guy speaks Dutch, he speaks English, he speaks a Lebanese Arabic accent. So there is two possibilities. He's either sent by Hezbollah and
Oh
by
my
Bashar
God.
al-Assad to spy on us, or the Dutch king is sending spies in the camp to spy on the Syrians. There was no other option, because
Mm.
nobody would believe such a story. And in Zwolle, there was no food court like we had in Ter Apel. So there was a table with bags of food on it. The people of Zwolle were even so kind, they started donating fruits and vegetables So in the bag, you might find an orange, a banana, an apple. Yeah, I don't eat apples. So if I had an apple, I would trade it for a banana. But again, the same scenario. The food is, we're really thankful that they're offering food, but you know, we're used to, the how Lebanese have breakfast, how Syrians have breakfast: olives, labne, cheese, tea, milk,
Manusha.
manouche, makdous, the
Yeah.
olives in three different sorts,
Yeah.
the hot bread, 4 or 5 people on a table. Yeah, this was not there in the camp. So as I'm sitting there, it was the Bitcoin pizza day. And I was remembering, hey, you know, like they ordered pizza and paid with Bitcoin and did a transaction between United Kingdom and United States. Can't I order pizza in the Netherlands with my Bitcoins on the phone that I mined between 2012, 2013,
Oh
and 2014?
my
I said, yes, I can.
god. That's
Thijsbezorgd.nl.
bizarre. No, you
Yeah,
didn't.
yes,
Oh my.
Thijsbezorgd.nl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
looked
They
for the
still do, by the
largest
way.
pepperoni pizza I can find. It was New
Yeah.
York pizza,
No.
and I ordered it to the camp.
Wow.
Now, in Zwolle, there were as well some people who didn't want refugees, so they were making some troubles with the camp management. So they had to put a black, like a plastic black curtain on the whole sides of the camp. There were a large fence. It's what the police usually uses when they want to seal a location. So they
Mm.
sealed the whole location in the camp with these black drapes. And there was a guy at the door holding the pizza, and I hear shouting with the security. And I hear shouting in Dutch, and the security guy is telling me, "You're not allowed to enter in the camp." And the bezorger, was the delivery guy, was telling
Yeah.
him, "Yeah, someone ordered pizza from inside." He told him it's impossible. These are refugees inside. No one can order pizza. There's no internet even at that
Oh my
location.
god. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I came to him. I said, "No, I did this order, this pizza, and I paid by Bitcoin." He said, "Huh? What is Bitcoin?" I said, "Yeah, it's new type of money, digital money." And the pizza came in the camp. The
Wow.
smell of the pepperoni, we were 380 refugees in one hall. Open space, double beds, so one bed down, one bed up, and there were beds next to each other in rows. The picture is always the picture that you see on my TEDx talks from the
Yeah.
refugee camp. This, we took it there, and it was exactly the same. I'm holding the pizza, I'm moving inside. The smell is spreading. Like, I had a big circle around me, and everybody like was, "How did you do this?" I said, "Yeah, I used Bitcoin." I said, "Huh? What is Bitcoin?" "Yeah, Bitcoin is a wallet. You download it. You can use it as money. You can order things. You can order pizza. You can." I said, "Hey, can we send money to Syria?" I said, "Yeah, of course you can." "Hey, can we work and get paid by Bitcoin?" I said, "Yes, of course we can." And the questions came on coming and coming and coming until we started making circles in the camp. Every I think it was every Thursday evening, uh, we sit and we talk about Bitcoin.
Oh my
Some
god.
of the refugees were going outside the camp, like they go into the camp was in the center of Zwolle. They
Yeah.
go into the supermarket, they take plastic bags, and they come back to the camp. And in the Netherlands, when you take a plastic bag, you have to pay for it. So this 50 cent, they didn't pay it even, and it started making problems with the surroundings of the camp. And this is where we added to the Bitcoin what I call the integration 101. So I started telling them, yeah, in the Netherlands, you have to pay for your plastic bag, you have to pay for going to the bathroom. You cannot take just ketchup like this from McDonald's, like what we do in Dubai and in Lebanon and in Syria, and take it with you. You have to pay for everything. And then I realized, hey, like, people now are trusting me more. I'm making their life easier, not only with digital money, but as well living in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So I started telling my stories living in the Netherlands, what I used to do, the freedom, the safety, that, you can ride a bicycle, you have to, limit yourself to some speed limits in certain streets. You pay high fines for it. And this event, the pizza event with Bitcoin, turned me into the king of refugee camp. So next day in the morning, I wake up, I have my food ready. Like the youngsters, the 19s, the 20s, and the 21s, and those young guys, they come and they say, Muallim, it's like, boss, hey, we know that you like bananas. So hey, we have some bananas for you. We got this fresh bread before
No.
it was distributed, and can we get another Bitcoin lesson today? Well, we loved it.
Mm.
I say, yes, yeah, we can. So some of those people were good in, like, they were teachers back in Syria, so they were good in translation. And this is when I applied to be a global moderator at bitcoin.com. And I applied there, and I told the guys, listen, we are in touch now with reporters who want to report about the Syrian crisis. They want to report about cryptocurrencies, and they want to translate articles. We can get paid in Bitcoin for that. So I had like a group of translators. I get the we call Dutch the opdracht. I get the work, and then I give it to the people. They translate it on paper. I type it back on my phone, and I send it back. And the University of Nicosia started their MOOC program,
Yep.
the Introduction to Digital Currencies. I registered for it, and this is when I met Andreas Antonopoulos online in the courses, and I was fascinated by his vision on money and the history of money and what is money. So this is when I had the change in mentality. Looking around me, it is not only me now without an identity. It is 400 people in a camp with no identity, with no single proof of their academic certificates, land titles, birth certificates, driving licenses. And there you can use Bitcoin as a proof of existence by time stamping the signatures of these documents on the Bitcoin blockchain, and you can use it as a way to transfer money that doesn't ask you for your first name, your last name, your country of origin, or any other document. So the news started spreading among refugee camps that, hey, there is some sort of genius there who has is working with this new technology, Petcoin, Betcoin, Bitcoin. So they, yeah, for us as Syrians, our interaction with the English language is very minimal because it's not taught in schools. And if it's taught, it's only for the private privileged schools. So as a public school, you don't have this strong English, like you're not articulate. You can't read and write English. So Tay was something special there. One day we get a visit to the camp from a Dutch Somalian girl, and she said, well, we have tickets to a startup weekend in Utrecht, and we're looking for talent to join. Whatever you want to do, you can just come. Here are the tickets. Now I thought, hey, we can go there, we can eat, we can drink, we can meet people, and maybe find a job so that I can get out of the camp, get a work contract, get paid. And I never in my wildest dreams thought that I can participate in such an event. Startup Weekend is a Techstars event, and I went with two refugees there, and I called one of the guys that was on the bitcoin.com forum. His name was Abdullah. and Abdullah was a student in the United States with the Saudi origin. And I told him, like, there's an event in Utrecht, Techstars. So can you come? He said, yes, I'm in Saudi Arabia now. I will talk to my university and see if they would allow me to come and participate. Most of the Bitcoin people that, from Roger Ver to, let me see, David Mondres, um even like Abdullah, Mustafa Farghali, all these now big names in the Middle East, around the world, they started from those Bitcoin forums. They started from the Facebook forums. I was one of the first guys to set up the Bitcoin community in Lebanon, the Bitcoin community in Egypt, and we were talking and meeting on forums most of the time. There was no Coinbase, there was no Gemini. There was, I think, cex.io, which was at that time doing subscriptions for miners. This was the most hot topic at that time, cloud mining.
Jeez,
Lots
yeah.
of scams,
Yeah.
and
I was gonna
our
say.
job was, just to like make sure that people don't fall in scams in the forums,
Mm,
and moderating most of the time.
yeah.
So my responsibility was the Arabic section in Bitcoin.com. I was promoted to be a global moderator, and I was so happy. Just I am feeling an accomplishment. So Abdullah came to the Netherlands. We participated in Startup Weekend in Utrecht with an idea to use Bitcoin as a proof of existence for academic
Mm.
certificates. Since in the Middle East there is a lot of fraud, in the Middle East there is a lot of fraud when it comes to academic certificates. We won. We won that event. We won the first place. I met Oscar Kneppers from Rockstar, the founder of Rockstar. One of the gifts that we got was to go and pitch in Rockstar our startup. At that time, it was Tycoon. And we won as well in Rockstar. We joined the accelerator. We raised $1.5 million for that. And Abdullah told me, I have to go back to Saudi because I need to study. I need to finish my studies. And Abdullah started Rain.bh, which is today the number one Middle East crypto exchange, the first regulated crypto exchange in the Middle East. And Rain.bh today is backed by Coinbase Ventures, is backed by the biggest names in the industry. And in 2021, they did their first $1 billion in sale in crypto. So this was how, you know, this was how small the world was, the Bitcoin world, the crypto world. And this was from a pizza order, it flipped my life upside down. I mean, I'm just remembering now and getting like emotional and goosebumps
Of course. I
because
mean,
yeah, it's looking at where we are today, and maybe the viewers or the listeners are asking, okay, why are you saying all these details?
mm,
I'm saying all these details because in 2021 the dots were connected, and I realized, why did I have to pass through this journey? Why did I meet Abdullah? Why did I meet the Dutch Somalian girl Nasra? Why did I have to spend 2 years in the refugee camp? Why did I came into Bitcoin? And all these whys that I struggled to answer from 2014 till 2020. It the answer came in 2021. And the answer came when Lebanon actually went through a very difficult situation with the big explosion in August 2020. In August 2020, the big explosion happened in Beirut, in the port, and many lives were lost, many businesses were lost, and many houses were lost. Unfortunately, one of our houses was I don't want to say fully destroyed. It was heavily damaged, and I had my Bitcoin private keys written on paper. I didn't have copies for all of them. Some of them I was able to retrieve, some were lost. And it was that day that I realized, hey, you know, am I unlucky or am I unlucky? Even when I like take the best security measures to back up my wallet and write my keys on a piece of paper, and I live by the code, not your keys, not your coins. And I've lost a lot of Bitcoin in my journey simply because there was no one to teach us that if you don't save your wallet dot dat, so there was not even yet a private key that you can write in words. Your private key was a folder in your laptop called wallet.dat that you have to save. And some of them were saved on USBs I lost, some of them on laptops that I lost. So I did the best I could to live by the code, not your keys, not your coins. And I saved my keys on paper. Some of them I made copies, some of them I didn't. And this was the result. But this was not the learning curve that I had. You know, Lebanon went before 2020 in a huge inflation ride, capital controls, people lost their life savings. They thought they were smart by not trusting the Lebanese lira and putting their money in dollars in bank accounts. Well, guess what? The central bank said the lira and the dollar, they're for us now, they're for the government. They have to continue paying subsidies on the basic necessity items in the country, like fuel, like food, like wheat. So my uncle, who worked in Qatar for around 30 years, he came back to Lebanon and he put his life savings in the bank in dollar value. And now he has to live on $50 a day, sorry, $50 a week, withdrawing money from an ATM. The Lebanese currency went from being a peg of 1,500 Lebanese lira to a dollar until 25,000 Lebanese lira to a dollar. So, with Western Union not functioning, with MoneyGram not functioning, with banks not functioning, and you have an explosion that was felt in Cyprus, 200 kilometers away. Some people say it was a mini nuclear explosion. It wiped half of the city. It changed the demographics of the city. It changed the landscape of the city. And NGOs were rushing to help. The international community was rushing to help, but they can't send money there. The only thing that worked was Bitcoin. The only thing that was able to transact value to Lebanon was Bitcoin. And this one, it hit me that we can't go back in Lebanon to what we used to do in traditional finance. There must be a new way of building the financial sector in Lebanon, and crypto is at the heart of it. Our community that was around, I think, shy of 7,500 people turned into thousands in matter of weeks, because now everyone has burned their hands using and trusting the traditional local financial system of Lebanon, and they're looking for another alternative. So this one, I think my, like, again, the big why was right in front of my face and saying I have to start something. And then I started Flus Finance. But the timing of starting Flus Finance was not the best, because we were in the, not the first lockdown, in the second lockdown. So between let's say July and December 2020, no work. There is no jobs. There is no public appearances. There is no workshops. There is no possibility of doing what I was doing before. And all what I was thinking of is flus, and how can I fundraise for it now? How can I go to an event and stand and pitch in front of 100 investors and try to close a deal for it? I believe in it. I believe in the product. I believe in the product market fit. I believe in the target market. It's tested. We have some traction. We're doing transactions. We're using what we have in our hands, our network, in order to build this platform. But yeah, how can you now talk about it? How can you promote it? There's no blockchain events. There's no Bitcoin Wednesdays. I can't go there and do what I'm doing. So I had to find a job. I had to work. My neighbor is a construction worker, and he told me, "Tay, in construction, we always need cleaners." And we call them in Dutch bouwopruimers, construction cleaners. They start the shift from 5 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. I said, yes, that's perfect, because now I can wake up early, I can go earn my money, I can close my bills, I can put food on the table, and in the afternoon I will work on flus. And this is what I've done. So from September 2020 until April 2021, I was every day, 5 in the morning, in Schiphol in the airport. Opposite to Schiphol, there was a big bomb construction site, and I was the cleaner there. It was winter, cold, dark. I said, no problem. My headsets were on. I'm listening to Bitcoin podcasts. And yeah, there were no humans in crypto at that time. I don't know if I listened to you, but I had my Bitcoin podcast. I'm just being updated on what's happening in the market, the new innovations that are coming out, the DeFi space that's flourishing. And I get my money end of the week. So I said, hey, it's perfect. I don't have to wait till end of the month to get paid, and nobody gives a fuck what I'm doing. So I can, between the cleaning times, I can text the people I'm working with, continue doing my crypto to cash to crypto transactions in Lebanon, and in the afternoon I can continue working on flus. So one day, the owner of the construction of the cleaning company that hired me, he saw on my LinkedIn a post that I've written. So the cleaner of this company is called Bink. The cleaner of Bink in The Hague broke her foot. So they called me and said, Tay, you live in The Hague. Our head office is in The Hague. Can you come and clean the offices today? I said, yeah, sure I can. I said, yeah, we will pay you for that work. So I went there, and I think it was 2 or 3 times that I cleaned there. And one time, one of the employees went to lunch and he left his screen open. He left his laptop open unattended. I was thinking to myself, hey, if it was someone else, maybe he would take a USB with him. He will plug it in the laptop. He can spread the virus. He can take the whole system as a hostage and ask for a Bitcoin ransom. It can happen.
Yeah.
So I went back home and I wrote a post on LinkedIn, and still there. And I said, I'm working as a cleaner. I'm not ashamed of it. And here are the lessons that I learned. One is, greet the cleaner when you see him, because you make him feel better. And if he feels better, he will clean better. And if he cleans better, you have a better environment to work in. It's nice to work in a clean space. Second lesson is, when you leave for lunch or when you leave your desk unattended, lock your screen.
Yeah.
The CEO of the company, he saw this post. And next day, he came and tell me, hey, you work in crypto, right? I said, yes. He said, where's your Lambo? I said, I don't have a Lambo. I have my bicycle down. And this is my story. Again, I had to tell my story from the time I was born in Kuwait until this day. And he told me, can you teach me how to buy crypto? I said, yes. We went on a session. I taught him. He loved it. And we became good friends. 24th in 2021 in April, when the markets started to pick up, I was lucky enough to have bought in a DCA strategy from September till April. Every money I'm earning on cleaning, I'm putting back in crypto. And I said to the CEO of the company, I really appreciate the work that I have here. I love you guys, and we will stay close friends forever. I thank you for the opportunity, but I have now to go and build flus. A few months later, the US Army withdraws from Afghanistan, and one of the guys that was in my circles in the refugee camps, he called me and said, Tay, Western Union is not working in Afghanistan. MoneyGram stopped working in Afghanistan. Our currency is devaluating at an alarming rate. We are in a similar situation as Lebanon. I have been following what you were doing in Lebanon. Can we do the same in Afghanistan? I said, of course we can. But why would you need to do this? He said, well, we need to at least feed our families. And I have my trusted network on the ground. And I used to work with USAID, with UNHCR, and he's a software developer. So he knows basically the local area he is in, the money transmitters, the shops, the supermarkets, and they are all willing to learn and to go on this learning curve and use crypto. I said, let's do this. So we started talking to the Afghan diaspora in the Netherlands and telling them, hey, if you are worried about your families back there, and keep in mind that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and most of the Dutch-based NGOs, they had to leave and leave the people that they used to work with back in
Mm.
Afghanistan. And I think the minister resigned due to this incident. So we started talking to the diaspora and telling them, now you can purchase crypto locally from the Netherlands. You can send it over to Afghanistan, and we will help you change it into local currency, and we will distribute this local currency to your families. And they said, Tay, I would love to give money to my family, but can I give them food instead? I said, of course you can. So we started going to the supermarkets, purchasing the food, putting it in plastic bags, and knocking on their families' doors and giving food to them. This evolved into a supermarket. And I was inspired by Picnic and Daniel, their CTO. There is somehow a personal relation with Daniel. I've met him in person a couple of times. We had breakfast. Very lovely guy. And it was always in my head, how Picnic started in, I think it was, it's not Amstelveen, it's a similar city with a similar name. It's close to Zeist in Utrecht, and this is where they started. And they started like a very very small pilot, and look, today they are a multi-billion-dollar industry. So that story always stayed in my head, and I thought, hey, can we do a picnic in Afghanistan? And can we do a supermarket in Afghanistan? But this needs a Superman. This needs somehow to carry money from one place to another, and you need to fly. You need to break barriers. You need to be
That's
strong. You
that's why
need
you
to
called it Superman.
exactly. This is how the name Superstan came. It's Superman Afghanistan supermarket.
Wow, I didn't know
And
that. That's a good
yeah, we
story.
have today an online supermarket in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
The purpose of this marketplace is to serve as a place for the Afghan diaspora to buy crypto in their local areas in Europe, in US, in Canada, in Australia, in London, wherever they are, and send it over to Superstan, and we take care of the rest. We take care of the conversions, we take care of purchasing the products, putting them in Superstan bags, and delivering it to people. The latest product that we launched was the Maha packages. They are packages dedicated for women, where you have sanitary pads, you have creams, you have shampoo, you have soap, and you have a thick blanket. Today in Kabul, for example, it's -5 degrees, and we're happy to have shipped more than 100 blankets today to families in need. We've reached more than 100 families. We've distributed more than 1,000 items in a span of almost 6 weeks. And it would not be possible without using crypto. Impossible. There is no PayPal, they deny services. Western Union, they deny services. MoneyGram, they deny services. The whole world turned their back on Afghanistan the moment there was trouble. But there is crypto working fine, working like in the best way. Remember in 2012 and 2013, everyone used to talk about breaking barriers, financial inclusion. It didn't mean anything to me, it didn't resonate with me until I lived that situation. So, again, sorry for this like long story,
No,
but
don't
I wanted
apologize. Never apologize.
I want everyone to feel how the dots were connected. Everything I said was for a reason today to see how the dots connect. And thanks to crypto, we don't say we're changing the world. No, we are doing it.
Mm. It's going to take me a while to absorb everything
And
you've said.
listen, this is community effort. This is the community. This is not the president of a country saying, we're going to
No,
use Bitcoin as a legal tender. No,
no.
this is a pure bottom up approach. People by themselves organizing as a decentralized organization. They have a common goal, they have a focus, and they have an incentive. I'm not an angel, I'm not a non-profit guy. I do things for money and for business. And there is money in this way of work. But the money is being attached to an impact by default. We didn't aim for feeding families in Afghanistan. We didn't aim in bringing basic necessity items for women so that they can keep their hygiene, they can keep their pride, they can keep doing what they do best. We didn't aim for that. What we aimed is, you have crypto here, you have cash there. How can we make this bridge? And how can we make sure that it is not used by bad people? It's not being used by terrorists. It's not being used for money laundering. It's not being used by Taliban. They might be using crypto. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
My goal was, you are in Europe, so you have a European passport, you have a bank account, you have a credit card, you have verifications on who you are. It's not my job to verify you, it's the job of satos.eu, it's the job of Coinmerce, it's the job of Bitonic, it's the job of all these licensed crypto exchanges around the world. They can buy crypto from there, they move it into their own wallets. From their wallets, then comes my job to verify my people on the ground there. And how do we do that? Well, as I said, the guy is a previous US aid employee. So, as an US aid employee, you have an ID number. We have a copy of that. We have a copy of his passport. We have a copy of his previous company that was working with UNHCR, USAID, and many other companies. And we did like an interview video call with him. And the people who are ordering, again, they're verified from the source. So my first mile and my last mile is clean. All what I need now is to bridge them together. And this is where crypto comes to play a perfect role in being a good system of escrow, a good system of transferring value, and a good store of value. Because now we can tell those people, if you have a little bit of extra money, keep it in, maybe Bitcoin, keep it in Ethereum. Better than your currency becoming worthless. Because in Afghanistan, the central bank money is confiscated by the international community. So, what can be, you know, better reason to wake up every day than this type of work?
Tay. What a story, and it's not even a fictional one. It's real.
Eleanor, if we had to hire Steven Spielberg or, you know, any of those famous directors and ask them, can you write such a story? It's not possible. And this is,
It's
again, I'm
not
telling
it's
you,
it's not believable. I think people will
yeah,
be
it's
lost in the plot and be like, "Wait,
exactly,
what?"
exactly. It's not believable, and you can't put such a plot together. But today, the dots connected. 7 years later, from 2014 till today, it's the first time that I really feel happy. I really feel
Oh.
alive. I really feel okay. My purpose and my vision and the things that I used to talk about in TED Talks and in all the meetups and in all the closed and open meetings, now they're coming, now they're falling in place. It's happening. I can see it. I can feel it. You can feel the energy of those people miles away, sending their good vibes because we made it possible for someone to have a blanket, for someone to have milk, to have diapers, to have oil, to cook. And, mothers are calling me saying, thank you, God bless you, we're praying for you. And I wasn't looking for that. It happened. It took time, but it happened.
You did, you put in some sweat and some tears into this, but
Yes.
it's
Yes.
I I'm still trying to imagine like the Dice Result Delivery Bitcoin guy, that scene. And now today
Yes.
it's you're there,
One
you're
one
I don't know.
action. One action, and Dice Resort was accepting Bitcoin from long time ago, from
Yeah,
2014, if I'm not mistaken. They
yeah,
stopped for a while, and then
they
they went back to it.
yeah, they still
Yeah.
do. They use BitPay.
Yeah.
The Dice Result is
Yeah.
BitPay
Yeah.
gateway.
Yeah.
Jeez, Tay, like it's
I
just
still have
beautiful. I
my
love your
old phone.
story. I
I'm
love your
looking at
story.
my old phone here on the table.
Yeah.
My old phone still have those transactions. You
And
know,
and
I
they will
pay
always be there. They'll always be on the blockchain.
exactly.
It's
That's
not
the
going
beauty of
away.
it. It's a reminder for me not to pay pizza with Bitcoin anymore, but because the prices, like every pizza, I paid for one pizza, I think 30 euros. Like I had one receipt for 30 euros, and today it's worth 1,500 euros.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
let's not
But
think that way. That's not that's not how you're
exactly,
supposed to think. It was worth
exactly,
30. Bitcoin at
exactly.
that moment was 30, and
That's why I'm
today
telling you,
that's it.
Eleanor,
Yeah.
it took 7 years
Yeah.
to overcome that feeling.
Spending. But it's
Spending
not
that Bitcoin.
but it's not just you. I think the whole ecosystem is a bit on the fence. Like I remember when I started in crypto in 2017, met people like you and people that had been in crypto earlier, and there was some of them were uncomfortable because they had spent crypto and then they were very bitter about that one night, which now is worth a couple thousands instead of a couple hundreds or something, or
Yeah.
much more. And I was like, no, but thank you. Like, if you hadn't spent it, then this would not even exist today. And the narrative of spending crypto got killed. I was actually just talking about it in an interview the other day, and I was saying, yeah, the Netherlands were early adopters. Like, we had Utrecht, no, Arnhem, sorry, Arnhem Bitcoin
Arnhem.
City,
Yeah.
like with 300 merchants accepting crypto. And the idea of spending crypto died since, like, whatever you want to call, is it due to the block size debate, other things, store of value, medium of exchange, all those things at
Yeah,
play. And we've talked several times since, and you know that I'm an advocate for using cryptocurrency. So if you had to come full circle, it's fine. I think it's about keeping that alive. Crypto's
100%.
not just a to the moon limbo thing. I don't
100%.
I don't believe in that. I don't want it to be reduced to that. Even though for anybody just stepping into crypto and not knowing about the story, that's what they see.
100%.
99% of the content out there is I made this much money, this is how much you missed. You missed that opportunity, all that FOMO and FUD. And it's only through projects, I think, like Superstan and
Yes.
others, that it just gives me a little bit of hope that this space is not
Yes.
just, you know, just money
True.
driven, and hodl to no, we're not hodling. We're using it. It's making a
True.
difference today.
True.
And let's not forget that. It's so important. And I'm so happy that okay, I'm not happy you had to live all those things, but I'm happy that you're there, Tay, and that your journey
Me
can
too, to be honest,
inspire.
I'm
Like,
really happy. I always say I'm blessed. I'm blessed to go through this experience and go through this journey, because if that pizza order would not have been done, the chain reaction after it may not have happened.
no, absolutely not. No bananas on your bed, no
Exactly.
Bitcoin.com translation articles, none of that.
Exactly.
Can you imagine the adoption you've done in all those years? Those guys, you might not, those guys, some of them you're connected with, some you're not, but
Hundred percent,
the impact you had.
the thought of how many talks I did about crypto,
Mm,
and I tell people, raise your hands if you don't have Bitcoin, and then they come to me, and I just give them $5, $2, $1, and some even transactions, like I give a $5, I pay $3 transaction fee. I say it's okay. I want them
Tay.
to feel it. This was the message from Andreas Antonopoulos all
I
the time.
know.
The best way to understand Bitcoin is to use it. Just
Do
don't explain hashing and cryptography. You know the amounts of hours and months and days and years I've spent reading about cryptography,
mm,
reading about Keynesian economics,
yeah,
reading about game theory, reading
you're
about all these buzzwords that were used in explaining Bitcoin. And I graduated with a degree in business economics. You
right,
know,
right.
able to to define money in few words, it took me 4 years.
Yeah, it takes a while.
You know?
My first couple of years in crypto, there was no way I was teaching anything. I had to also absorb all of these things.
Yeah,
And same as you, I also went
yeah,
through whatever union. They never taught us about money either.
yeah,
Like, I can't
yeah.
even believe how close I was to the subject, but always so far. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like, it's like,
yes,
how could I have gone through this level of education
yes.
and not understand the system I'm in
100%,
every day and what I'm
100%,
using?
100%.
What do you think of Andreas today? I have so much admiration, and I think his talks, for anybody listening and who doesn't know who Andreas Antonopoulos, go check him out. His early talks are spectacular, and he
Yes.
inspired so many people. And is so eloquent and a great,
Yeah,
he speaks very well, great
yeah.
educator. Do you feel though that the narrative of spending crypto also got a bit lost with Andreas? Do you think something of less about that? How
Yeah,
what happened? What
yeah.
happened in your opinion? Why is spending crypto now so new? Or is it, I feel like
I
your
think
project
it's
is so
it's a
different.
no, I think it's a price related issue. It's an issue where they're seeing this technology growing
Mm,
in value, growing in terms of economical numbers, dollar value, user adoption. And now, when you're living in a world that is driven by being the best, getting the best, living the best, suddenly you want to have what you know you have something that is constantly giving you more and more value. You start with one Bitcoin at $9,000, or even March 2020, the start of the pandemic, Bitcoin $4,200.
okay, yeah.
Let's say you bought one. A month later, It's growing. A year later, it's 40,000. You're not gonna spend it. You're gonna maybe spend a little bit of it because you have the hope that this will be a million, and then you're gonna spend it. There
Mm.
is always a higher satisfaction. It's like exactly when you smoke weed. When you take your first puff, you're like, you sleep. You can't stand up. You're directly knocked out. And then your body builds tolerance. You want more.
Mm.
You want more. You
Mm.
want as more as you smoke, as less you get high.
Yeah.
Always the first high is the most spectacular one. The first cigarette, the first glass of wine, the first glass of whiskey, the first ecstasy, the first MDMA. This is always the best experience. And in Bitcoin, it's the same. You're getting your first crypto, you're seeing how it's growing, more coins, more exchanges, more dollar value for it, more adoption, banks talking about it. Your dream, whatever your dream is, you think you can achieve it by just holding this thing. Now, when will it change? It will change when you burn yourself. It's like a 5 years old that you tell him or you tell her, Maria, don't touch the oven, it's hot. What will Maria do? She will come and stick her hand to the oven. And she will cry for days because her hand is burned. And she's 5 years old. We are like this 5 year old Maria. You will tell those people, you know, Bitcoin is not just your store of value. You have to spend it. You can use it to pay stuff. They won't listen. When they will listen once their bank gets busted,
Mm.
once their money is confiscated, once their single currency among 28 countries fails, or the world reserve currencies suddenly starts to crumble down, and more of it is printed, and higher debt ceilings, and then they will realize, hey, I've been holding on to something and I didn't spend it. Maybe perhaps now is the time to spend it, because if I had spent it a few years ago, I would have bought more stuff than what I have now. People always forget that the crypto is related to the fiat, is
Yeah.
related to the dollar value, is
Yeah.
related to the Afghan, is related to the Lebanese lira. It's not out of this world. So better use it now and
Well,
transact,
yeah,
connect.
transact, use, and replace. I'm not saying buy
Exactly.
everything, spend all your crypto, never look
No,
back. I'm saying spend and this has to be a circular economy. If it
it
just sits on wallets, we are just not changing anything.
and it's not as well to add on the circular economy. By the time you reach the level that you want to transact, some other people were transacting with it years before you. They
Mm,
have more experience, they have more technology, they have
yeah.
more resiliency, they have more use cases for problems that are in certain cryptos,
Yep.
and you won't find solutions for them because you're not using it.
Yeah.
You're It's like your car. You buy the best Mercedes out there and you put it in a garage for 20 years, for 50 years. You try to turn it on later, it won't turn. While around you, people are flying with cars.
I like the analogy. Except the moment you buy a car, it depreciates, right? That's
100%. Yeah.
whereas with crypto, there's a chance that
Yeah.
it could appreciate.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's fascinating. You've seen it. You've seen a lot.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that you started with mining, not caring about all the whatever we're talking about, like all
Nothing,
this.
nothing at all.
Not,
I'm a second life gamer, Eleanor. I used to play Second
ah,
Life, and
interesting.
inside the game,
Yep.
there were gamers asking for Bitcoin,
Wow.
and they used Linden dollars, and there was a platform called Verwox, Verwox, Virwox, WOX. This was the first crypto exchange in the world, I think, before MTGOX even. So Fairworks, the Linden dollars were sold there, and people were asking for Bitcoin because they can change Bitcoin to Linden dollars quickly, and the premium was 40%.
Whoa.
40% premium. So I came to the market and I said, hey, I want to know the source of this Bitcoin, the source of this thing that is sold at a premium for 40%. If I'm able to get to the source of it, then they will earn a 40% premium. So by the time that I got to the source, the premiums were going less and less and less.
Mm.
When I entered the second life Bitcoin trade with Linden dollars, the premiums were around $20. And this is when I came to know about mining, because this is how you create Bitcoin. So I
Any
I read the white paper and I said, you know,
yeah.
this, this is just someone who, like, on a typewriter he wrote something. I googled Satoshi Nakamoto. Who the fuck is Satoshi? I mean, there's no pictures for him. There's no LinkedIn for him. He's not on Facebook. He's not on
No.
Twitter. So yeah, I said just forget this whole thing. Now you're earning 20% on your $100 investment. Just continue doing this, and yeah, that's
Would you
how
would you go
that's how
back
it
into
started.
the would you go back into sort of the mining game at all?
To be honest, not. I mean, this is how I met Alejandro del Toro as well.
Ah, wow.
He was living in Delft at that time. So we
Wow.
used to sit together in Den Haag, in The Hague, and have like morning
Aw.
coffees, talk about mining, and he used to help me with mining a little bit, some configurations, some making it more efficient.
Yeah.
It was even at that time, Alejandro was working on his first product. I think it was Blocktrail, if I'm not mistaken, the name of the startup. He was doing something similar to blockchain.info, where you see the transactions and
Mm.
the public registry. So this is when like I knew how time consuming is mining, how
Mm.
costly it is, and the industry is simply changed from that time.
Fair.
It in the 2 years that I spent in the camp from 2014 till end of 2016. Yeah, Bitmain came to open offices in Amsterdam. They acquired the startup of Alejandro, and
Yeah.
Alejandro was the VP of sales at Bitmain at that time. No, sorry, was VP
It
of
was
business development.
yeah, it was for
Yeah,
btc.com, which
yeah,
was my first
BTC.com.
which
Yeah,
was my first crypto company, right? So
yeah,
I
yeah,
and it's so like this was such a small
yeah, exactly.
world.
So this
But
was, yeah,
he's still in the mining industry, I believe.
yes, yes.
Yes,
I
he's
mean,
still
Alejandro did a I think the world will make a statue for him in years from now,
he'd
because
love
for
that.
his
He'd
work
love that.
on Taproot. Yeah, on Taproot. He's the guy to be the engine behind the Taproot.
Yeah.
And because of Alejandro, we have today Taproot successful. And Taproot is bringing the best, vision that we could think of for Bitcoin: smart contracts, more privacy, cheaper transactions. So thank you, Alejandro, for your work.
I'll make sure to send him this link. Love to catch up with him. But Tay, what is next for Superstan? What are you looking
Well,
at? How can we
next,
help you?
sure.
What's yeah?
Next
What's
for Superstan is Lebanon.
yeah?
We are in the process of opening Superstan in Lebanon. Superstan was a pilot for what we believe in, that crypto can be not only a store of value. It's
Hmm.
a good example of store of value in Lebanon, in Afghanistan, in Venezuela, in El Salvador, in countries, in Zimbabwe, in countries where their local money is weak, it's non existent, but We cannot tell people just buy Bitcoin or buy whatever coin you want from the 11,000 coins that exist in the market and just sit on it. You know, people need food, people need to work, they need to earn money. They don't
Mm.
need to take a boat, risk their lives, go to other countries looking for better opportunities, whether it's economic refugees or war refugees. This shouldn't happen in the age of Bitcoin. This shouldn't happen in the age when money is immutable, borderless, open, neutral, and decentralized. This shouldn't happen in an age where I can take my smartphone and Google how to walk from Damascus to the Netherlands, and I can't send a payment from Damascus to the Netherlands. The way, why? Because money is a way to communicate value. Today, the internet is a good medium of communication, so we can use it to transact, we can use it to send value from one country to another. Just today, we heard that Consensus has barred Iranian students from taking their courses, which I think is a
What?
big shame. Yes, today, Consensus, they
Shame on
have,
shame on consensus. God damn it.
yes,
I
yes,
what?
they are barring
What?
the Iranian
Because
students.
they shouldn't learn about solidity in Iran? Are you what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I
What the hell?
to be honest, it was really a sad news to hear from people who are advocating for the future of finance, people who
Ah,
are advocating for an open world. They're stopping the people who need it the most from taking it.
that's
So
ridiculous.
we
What a
believe,
we what a we I wonder who at consensus took that decision. Who are
yeah,
they trying to please? Which
exactly,
VC doesn't
exactly,
you know what I mean? Like what the
exactly. And
hell?
which regulator they're trying to please, to be honest. And Superstan for us was a pilot, was a use case
Mm,
for FluSpay. We want people in Lebanon, people in Herat in Afghanistan, like Herat, 4 million people in population, Lebanon, 4 million people.
yeah.
So you have a country the size of a, like, a state.
Yeah.
And we want for this state and this country to use crypto as a way of payment. So if you have a shop, put your QR code on the window, let the diaspora pay for the products directly, let the
Mm,
diaspora pay for the electricity, pay for your internet, pay for your landline, pay for your bills,
yeah.
instead of using Western Union to send this $300 back to your family so that your family can go pay for these services. No, why don't we pay it immediately with crypto? We have
Yeah.
stable coins. We have coins that preserve the value, they do not fluctuate, so you don't have to be afraid from that. This was the idea of FluSpay. But we realized as well that if I give you as a merchant crypto, what are you able to do with it? You have to convert it back into your local money so that you can put more shampoo on your shelf. You can pay the electricity for your refrigerator where you store your meat and your drinks so that people can come and buy fresh products. This is where FluSpay is not just doing payment processing, but as well conversions. In addition to the FluSpay on Superstan, when you check out, you have the option to pay with your wallet. It's not active yet, but my vision for crypto wallets will always be non custodial. You shouldn't trust a bank with your money in Lebanon, and you will not trust a bank with your money in Lebanon, and you will not trust an exchange again. It's the same experience. So, non custodial services in certain areas and certain scenarios, in certain countries, states, they're needed. The factor of backing up your wallet on a piece of paper, Bitcoin is $1 trillion industry, and you're asking people back up your key on a piece of paper. Yeah, what if an explosion happens and wipes the paper out? Oh, this will not happen. This is an extreme scenario. Yeah, hello, it happened in Lebanon and
Yeah,
it
well,
happened in 2020. So don't tell me it's an extreme scenario. Lebanon is an extreme scenario, and it happens. So we believe biometrics can play a role in backing up your keys, and this is where the Flus wallet and the Flus Pay come together in a
mm.
community-driven initiative, and it powers
do I
Superstand.
do I still get my private keys and I have to give my
Yes,
biometrics?
yes, you have
So
your private
it's
keys.
both.
It's both. Your private
And
keys are
because
with
like with
you.
I use Edge. Do you know
Yeah.
that wallet? And
Yes.
it's like non-custodian, multi-asset, everything, and it's they only take your username and password, so no email, no
Yeah.
KYC, and you do have biometrics, and your private keys. So is that kind of the same model for Flus?
Yes. It is the same model in Flus. It is more with a user experience from our communities.
Yeah, makes
It's in
sense. You have to
Arabic.
develop. Yeah, yeah. It's
It's in
products
Arabic.
for
Yeah.
products for the right
Exactly. We
community.
don't
Yeah, yeah.
have something to read in the wallet. It's all
Mm,
pictures. It's all just
nice.
things that you click with your finger. The wallet is
Mm,
still in development. So, my ask from the audience here is if there is talent to help us build this wallet and accelerate
nice.
the pace of releasing Flus wallet on Android phones, please come talk to us.
Yeah.
Next to the wallet in Lebanon and Afghanistan, we know a lot of what we call as OTC traders. So
Mm,
these are the people who can convert your local currency into crypto and crypto to local currency. We want to bring them all in the Flus wallet and use them in the Flus Pay payment processing. So when a shop is accepting crypto as a payment, they don't have to worry about what they can do with the crypto. They can immediately change it into dollars, into physical money. Why physical money? Because banks, unfortunately, are out of function. So they cannot put that stable currency into a bank account and use the money in the bank account to replenish the stock in the shop. It is only possible today with cash money. We have some measures on making sure this money is not used in money laundering and financing terrorism. But here again, my call to the community is if there are people who worked on KYC standards, who worked on CFT, AML, please come in touch and let's try to make this verification system driven by the peer community and not by the government. So we're
yeah.
looking for
Let's.
talent. We're looking for human capital, which I think is the best type of capital in the crypto space, and it's missing. To be honest, there is shortage of it. But I think with your network, Eleanor, and from this lovely platform, it is about humans in crypto, and we're looking for humans in crypto.
I might be able to help just a little bit on that side, but
Yeah.
it's. Are you working open source? What
Open
is it?
source, we have the plans of being one of the first DAOs in the Middle East and launching our Flus token for fundraising. Many people ask me, "Yeah, hey, why don't you go to a VC and take money?" Well, try to go to a VC and tell them, hey, we're working in Afghanistan.
We
They'll
were.
tell you, here's
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
No, we talked
Yeah.
about this the other day that it was very difficult for normal VCs to trust any, or they don't like basically the fact that you're on the fringes.
Yes,
And we mentioned maybe the idea of launching Flus, but like in a stable coin. Would
true.
that be more? Would that
That is,
be
I mean,
a
this
road?
is all open to the discussion, and this is why we need the humans in crypto because we need to
Yeah,
talk about this.
yeah.
My
Let's have an
personal
yeah.
opinion on it is we have enough stable coins in the market. We don't need another one. But if you can have a place where all these stable coins can exist, they can uh, like be exchanged with each other. We keep the
Mm,
preference for the user, whatever stable coin he wants to use, we can accommodate that. Um, and we work with non-profit sector as well. So
Mm.
we do process payments for large NGOs in Afghanistan, and yeah, it's going well so far. We're happy with it, but there is some innovations that we can work with that can help the non-profit sector,
Mm.
that can help corporates as well in their declaration of taxes and in getting tax returns and tax backs on their donations.
Right. You mentioned that. So for now, you're using like USDT, USDC, and DAI, but they all have their downfall, right? USDT,
Yeah.
shady. USDC,
Yes.
centralized.
Yeah.
DAI, very expensive to use right now.
Yes.
So
True.
there are stable coins out there, but it's difficult. They all have their
100%.
drawbacks
And
as well.
launching your own stable coin as well is not that, uh,
Mm,
easy process.
no.
Um
And it gets messy.
Today,
The moment
yeah,
you're a crypto project with a token,
yeah,
it gets co-opted,
true,
and then it's like, well, I want to just use the crypto I have. Why do now I have to purchase this
true,
other crypto
100%,
to use
100%.
it? So it's tricky. There's no
100%.
straightforward.
That's why I mean, from my perspective as a DAO, if you're having the incentive to earn revenues on the services that you're providing, payment
Mm,
processing, conversions, wallet transactions, and you have the community to vote on which coin you want to add to the wallet,
mm,
uh, where do you want to see flus, how much marketing you want to pay on flus. It shouldn't be Tay's decision. For this to survive, to grow, and to be really powerful, to be really based from the community, you need
mm.
some sort of organization behind it. I love how MakerDAO today
Yeah.
grew into this real decentralized autonomous organization. I had the chance to meet many times with their head of growth, Jennifer Sinhaji, who has Lebanese roots in her
Really
family. So
interesting.
we talked about Lebanon, we talked about how MakerDAO, and she's a person that didn't come from the crypto space. She went
Mm,
as well into a very painful learning journey to be today the head of growth at MakerDAO. And DAI is simply an amazing example of
absolutely.
how a DAO can really create impact. I wish that it's not a wish, we're working on that for
Mm,
Flus to create a similar impact in our region. So this is now set in stone.
yeah.
The only thing that we are looking at now, okay, the token. Can
Yeah, or
I?
you might just need to copy the model that MakerDAO has. Maker and
Yeah,
DAI,
could be. Yeah, could
the
be.
the double token solution, and just then choose a blockchain that has cheap
True,
transaction fees. Because right
true,
now, the only thing really hindering DAI is the underlying blockchain. Because God damn it, Ethereum just
true.
hasn't
Hundred
figured out the
percent.
transaction
Yeah,
fee yet.
100%.
Yet.
From now, I said now we're saying what is most used in Lebanon. It's
You said
USDT TRC20.
right. Yeah.
That's everywhere you go. Everyone
Yes.
you talk to, they
I'm
would tell
afraid.
you,
Yeah. I'm just
yeah,
afraid
I
of
need USDT
USDT.
TRC20. That's
But
that's what they say.
But
You know,
USDT is, I'm afraid it's going to implode. Like, I'm sure that it has
hundred
utility
percent. I
today.
mean,
I'm,
I share this sentiment with you. Uh,
and that's going to be a black day for crypto. I mean, the moment that thing implodes, we're like,
yeah,
you know what I
yes,
mean?
yes,
Like, that's
yes,
gonna be, that's
yes.
gonna be,
This
you know
is
how.
this is gonna have an effect. I saw empty gox
Mm,
implode, and I
Jesus.
had as well coins on empty gox. And
Mm,
this empty gox was the reason that my business in Dubai crumbled down directly, because we were at $1,200 per coin. Empty gox closed down. We went down to $200. We
yeah.
lost 70-75% value of on that day. And I hope and I wish it won't happen now. But if we see Bitcoin, let's say at $100,000 per piece, and USDT falls down, then Bitcoin is back maybe at $3,000, $5,000. So this is
And, it,
all
and,
speculation.
yeah.
These are all like dreams and scenarios. It's not gonna, we cross fingers, not gonna happen, but crossing fingers doesn't solve problems. So
No,
we
no.
want to serve Afghanistan, Lebanon,
Yeah.
Syria, Iraq, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, countries where we're looking at Pakistan. They do not have the resiliency now to suffer one more time. The
Mm.
people are suffocated. The people are, they say in Dutch, they're sat, they're, it's enough. You know, it's still, it's not even till here, it's still here. They're
Yeah.
underwater.
It's the real
And
khalas.
we,
It's the.
yeah, we can't mess this up anymore. We can't do
Mhm.
this.
Do you have any? And we again, I'm taking from our previous meeting, but can you just mention quickly the situation on the ground and of current organization, maybe in Lebanon and Afghanistan, and how you're also, let's you're changing the system, right?
Yeah.
How do they feel about you coming on the ground, changing stuff, bringing money from abroad? There are other institutions, obviously, in Lebanon that have a different agenda. How will that affect you? Do you think will they try stopping
Well,
it?
true. I mean, so far, it's the viewers have to understand, when you are bringing change into such environments, the first stamp they will put on you is you are a spy. You
You're
are,
used to that, right? You're
yeah.
already
I
a
mean, I'm
spy.
used to that. Again, that's why, Eleanor, I've said everything we said in this session,
Full
although it
circle.
was, although it was a little bit long, but it comes back to a full circle.
Mm,
Now, we are not yet labeled as foreign agents or spies,
mm,
but is there a possibility that this can happen? Yes, if the current players, the big players on the ground, they feel threatened. As funny as it sounds, those same big players, they're using crypto
yeah.
because they have been sanctioned from, I think, 10 years ago, and they cannot process transactions. They cannot transact globally. They cannot fund their operations. They cannot talk to their supporters outside without money. And believe it or not, I mean, they're using crypto. Crypto
Yeah.
is used by everyone. Will they label us as foreign agents? I don't think so, because in somehow, and as ironic as it sounds, we're helping them indirectly by keeping the people happy, by keeping the
Mm,
people calm, by making their business continue as usual. Their monkey business is going as usual, simply not because the diversion is different. But here is the differences. In politics, when you want to go to the parliament and be a politician, the previous time you have to pay money for people to vote for you. By keeping the power of money connected to the state for more than 50 years, 60 years in Lebanon, Afghanistan, you always, the people were always the sheep following those bad leaders. Why? Because they kept them with the carrot. Here is your $100. Come and vote for me. Here is your $100. Come and vote for me. Here is your 5 liters of gasoline. Here is your 50 liters of diesel. Come vote for me.
yeah.
In 2020, in 2019, 2020, and 2021, this changed, because now this carrot is rotten. Nobody wants it anymore. It's falling apart. And those sheep, they're learning how to be dependent. They're learning how to make their own money. They're learning how to own their money. And they're connected financially with the rest of the world. Their eyes are open, their ears are open, their minds are open, their hearts are open. And this what we're betting on the change. The moment that you separate money from the state, positive things can happen. And thanks to crypto, we're able to achieve this goal. It's not going to happen on Sunday. It's not going to happen in 2022. It's not going to happen in 2030. It will take some time. And
Yeah.
it might take 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, even 50 years. But it's important when to start. It's not will it happen, if it will happen, when will it happen?
Mm.
And the when started in 2019 when the banks collapsed.
Yeah. No, it's a Lebanon, sadly, and other countries in that region have been a wonderful, horrible example of when fiat collapses, when your central bank is a institutionalized Ponzi scheme, basically, and
Yes.
then all your dollars are locked in and are called now lolars, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they're there, but you can't access them. And
True.
of course, and like you said, going back to previously when we were saying about people spending their crypto, you kind of have to feel that pain of the current, and that's what I maybe I'm too hopeful of thinking, well, people might learn before getting too hurt, but I think human nature is we really adapt when we have
Yeah.
to, when it's a question of survival. And just to go back to Lebanon, because that's a country I also know very well. We had the civil war, and it ended in the 1990s, and we had like, this is why we're now calling out to the diaspora, right? 4 million people, 16 million abroad for the Lebanese community. um, do you think, and I have this conversation a lot with friends from Lebanon and abroad. There's another brain drain happening, right? People are leaving Lebanon.
Yeah.
They're like, "This
Of
is it.
course.
I can't stand it. I'm done." And
100%.
people, and people. I mean, and it's giving me like, getting also a bit emotional. But thinking like, can these type of initiatives like yours, you know, help a bit, so that people
I,
don't want
I,
to
I
leave
mean,
again, or is it
I
just a
don't want to
cycle of?
be the
Is there any
savior
hope?
of the country, and I don't
No,
want to sound as, yeah, this guy is, the Jesus of Lebanon. But
no, no, no. Well,
I mean, I just hope our work gives a 0.00001 improvement, as
yeah,
small as it can be.
yeah.
Talking about Lebanon and talking about how people are, I don't want to say they're suffering, but they're losing hope.
I
And
mean,
it's the worst thing in life when you lose hope, you
I mean,
know?
who can
But
blame them? The
yeah,
situation is so dire. How would
so
you feel if you lost? I mean, you went through crypto, so you know the
yeah,
ups and the downs.
yeah,
But no one expects their bank account, their fiat bank account, to
true,
get locked, lose
true.
90% value
Their
or more. Like,
Eleanor, their dollar bank account. Your,
I
your
know.
Lebanese, your Lebanese lira, it's fine. We know country is there is a lot of corruption, there is a lot of theft, and the lira we don't trust it. But the
Yeah,
dollar, no, we
yeah,
trust the dollar.
yeah,
We love the US dollar.
yeah,
Everyone has US dollar.
yeah.
Who survived this like
People paid
massacre?
in dollars. People paid in
Yeah,
dollars.
people who
Yeah,
saved dollars in their mattresses, in
yeah.
their pillows. You know how many dollars are in Lebanese houses? According to the
Mm.
central bank, there is an estimate that there is between $2 to $5 billion
Oh my
locked in people's mattresses, in pillows, in walls, under the carpet. This dollar is not safe today in its physical paper form. It is not safe. Inflation is eating it as well. You go to change it into Lebanese lira, and you go to buy your goods and services from the supermarket, it's still expensive.
God. Yeah,
So the diaspora today has a big role to play
yeah.
in I won't say saving Lebanon, just
Mm.
bringing hope back. That's it.
It feels like just that seems like an impossible task. I was trying to look back at the article I wrote. I can't remember. Like, I think it's 40% of the GDP to Lebanon
Yeah.
is the diaspora. It's like
The
a couple
only, you
billions.
know why today there is Lebanon? Why the country is still standing on its feet? People, they always think, okay, 40 banks in Lebanon, 40.
Really?
Population, 4 million.
Okay.
40 banks in the country. They're not functioning. You can't withdraw money. You cannot go to the bank and take your money out. How are people living? And it's not
Listen,
happened yesterday. It's happening since 2019. How are people continuing? How are people going from a new year to a new year? It's the diaspora. They are sending money back. They are sending money back home.
mm, mm, mm.
There are transaction fees being paid on
They're the
Western Union.
they're the highest. It's the most
The
expensive
highest. Yeah.
highest money corridor in the world. I think
Yes.
is Lebanon. It's like to send $100 to Lebanon costs 20, like something insane.
Yes,
Like it's
because you have to pay Western Union in Lebanon and you have to pay Western Union in the country of origin. So you're paying double the fees. And you're lucky if Western Union in Lebanon is going to give you US dollar. He might be giving you Lebanese lira and tell you, "Ah, sorry, I don't have US dollar." Go
mm,
complain. Go complain where? Today, Eleanor, today, the central bank changed the rates of the dollar. Today,
again. Wait,
the
again?
central bank today announced a new rate for the Lebanese lira, 8,000 Lebanese lira for $1. Central
No,
bank rate.
they're trying to catch up to the They're trying to catch up to the
At
black market
Christmas,
price.
mark my words, humans in crypto, in December on Christmas, Lebanese lira will be 50,000 Lebanese lira for $1.
Well, it's at, I'm looking at it now. It's
Yeah.
25,450. I mean, but it's funny that the central bank is still like not being
Central bank was giving 3,900 Lebanese lira for $1.
low.
Today, before I joined your session, in 1 hour, a new circular came out, 8,000 Lebanese lira for $1. And you are allowed to withdraw $3,000 per month only. If
Wow.
you have $10
Wait,
million, we don't care. You can withdraw 3,000 only.
did you see that news? Maybe I hope it's not fake news that I'm spreading, but one of Lebanon's neighbors is Syria, right? And I believe the Assad family has like 40 billion in Lebanese banks, and
I
it's
mean,
stuck.
Syria, the 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 problem with Assad today is that most of his wealthy circles that back him up, they have their money in Lebanese banks
There's
because
it's
Lebanon is considered to be
I know.
the Swiss banking, the Swiss
I
financial
know.
system of the Middle East,
Yeah.
not Dubai, not Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia, not
Yeah.
Bahrain, Lebanon.
Yeah, Riyad Saleh, had a
Yeah,
nice ship for a while there. It looked
Riyad
good.
Salemi always says the lira is fine, the lira is fine, the lira is fine until 25,000 pound for $1, and he still says, yeah, lira is fine.
Yeah,
So
he's. Do you think he's in denial? Like, how can he still be
I
there? I
again
don't.
again Eleanor, it's the mix. It's a very dangerous mix of politics and power and money together.
Mm,
Those things, they need to be separated in areas where corruption is high,
mm.
where theft of public money is high, and there's no accountability. I cannot look and see where is my money spent as a taxpayer. you know
Yeah,
in Europe you do,
Riyadh took some.
in Holland you do have corruption. We're not saying corruption is doesn't exist here. It
Yeah,
exists, but it doesn't affect the way the country is built. It doesn't affect communities as it affects it in Lebanon. At least here there is electricity, there is internet, there is roads, there is somehow safety, and safety brings investments, it brings economic prosperity. We don't have it. You know, which company will come open an office in Beirut when an explosion happens and it's felt 200 kilometers away in Cyprus?
what do you think is going to happen to Lebanon? Really? Like, I'm looking from this from
This is
afar.
the Tay story. I think in Lebanon people will increase their adoption to USDT, to
Mm,
Bitcoin, to Ethereum,
mm,
to all these cryptos. And slowly, because now of the pandemic as well, you're studying online, you're working online, you're transacting online, the communities will change. and there will be a new mentality coming up that is taking a little bit from every other country and forming a new type of Lebanese identity. And this new type of Lebanese identity will not be voting for the same politicians that have destroyed the country for the past 40 years. They
Hmm.
will be perhaps uh, inspired in a new governance system, in a way to govern themselves as what we know as well in this space as delegated proof of stake. So imagine a delegated proof of stake
For Lebanon. I doubt.
governance system for Lebanon, where communities delegate the experts in the field to come together and run and govern the country. In the history of Lebanon, it happened. It happened when we got the independence from the French colonization. The communities came together and they picked the best experts in the community to help them get their independence. It happened at that time when there was so much pain from the French colonists. And unfortunately, today, the colonist is one of us. And in order to get rid of them, we need to reorganize. We need to have a type of organization that is not only decentralized and not only autonomous, but it is as well delegated to the experts. Because this is how we can move Lebanon forward. The experts need to step in, they need to fix the economy, they need to fix the society, they need to fix the education, fix the healthcare, fix the import, fix the export, fix the electricity, fix the internet, fix the roads. It's the only way we can, if we
At
don't
least
get
that, yeah.
experts. Yeah,
At least that Dow will have work for the next 50 years, you know? If they figure it out, if they figure the
yeah,
good governance, they will have work and a mandate
yes,
for generations.
yes,
I Hey, there's only one way up, right? I just hope Lebanon doesn't
100%.
go further down. That's
Just
the only
like in
thing.
any other startup, in any other business, the only way that you go up is when you reach the bottom. Once you
Hmm.
touch the bottom, once you feel it with your hand, once you know, okay, this is the bottom I am in, it cannot go any lower, it cannot go any worse, then the next logical thing is to go up. You won't go immediately up, but take it step by step. And that's what we are doing now in Lebanon, step by step, with the efforts that we've been working on since 2014. Uh, Randa, Omar,
Yeah.
Sharbil, all those great guys that have, they as well have their own stories and they as well risk their jobs, risk their lives. What people don't know, Randa was called, Randa is the first person that started to advocate in Lebanon on Bitcoin. She opened the WhatsApp group. We did it together. Um we both started this thing in Lebanon. But she put more risk than what I did because I was happy back in the Netherlands. I can have a big mouth and I can
She's
talk. And
there.
she's
She's in
there on the
Beirut.
ground and she's a
Yeah.
banker. The
Yeah.
bank called
Yeah.
her and they were about to fire her if she didn't stop working in Bitcoin back in 2014. The
Mm.
ISF, the Internal Security Forces of Lebanon, called Randa and they brought her to the security offices asking her what she's doing with Bitcoin. People don't know these stories. They think that it will just flourish there. Bitcoin will just like it will grow in Lebanon. It needs humans, ladies and gentlemen. And at that time, they took risks more than Tay. And their stories need to be heard more than Tay. Sharbil, the same thing. Omar, the same thing. They all started by taking risk. And today, the reward is there. So this is why we believe there is still hope because there is good humans still in Lebanon. They're still
Mm.
there, they're still fighting, they're still pushing this crypto battle forward. While someone is sitting in the Coinbase office in New York, there are people making sure that Mr. Coinbase, you're gonna have clients because of our work on the ground. You are sitting in
Yeah.
your ivory tower where
And at
your
this and,
soldiers are fighting on the street.
and today consensus bans
Yeah,
Iranian
and
students.
what do you hear today? Yeah, we're gonna ban
Yeah.
Iranian students. I mean, come on.
Yeah, good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Good, like, good, big brains, big brains.
Yes.
Tay, I like to ask my guests to show something. Would you like to show an object, maybe what you're wearing on today with
Yeah,
us?
definitely.
Tell us more.
Uh,
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing one of the hoodies from Hcpp Conference. I was, I am still a big fan of this great conference where the real crypto cloud comes there. The real power of crypto is in that house with all the hackers, with all the, you know, innovators, with all the people that really broke barriers and really did amazing stuff in the crypto space. Amir Taki
Oh
is one
yeah,
of those guys who
huge guy. If
constantly, yeah,
check him out.
constantly
Amir
talks
Taki.
at
Yeah,
HCPP. Big shout out to Amir Taki.
yeah.
Amir Taki is in Lebanon. He
Really
is, yes, he is in Lebanon. He's as well
great.
on the ground, on the fight. So we salute him.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I was so blessed in 2021 after 1 year of not seeing a stage, of not being in an event to talk to people, to share what we are doing in Lebanon and Afghanistan. I was invited this year in 2021 to be one of the main
Nice.
speakers at HCPP, and I
Nice.
had a blast of a time. So I met my co-founder there, Mark Evanson, who's one of as well the brilliant software developers in Bitcoin from the United States. He's based in Vienna now. We're working together on Flus, and that's what I'm wearing.
It's a good T-shirt. I always love their name. It's such a good name, Institute of Crypto
Yes,
Anarchy. We need to bring, I think, your spirit back. Products where we use cryptocurrency, and the idea that all of this is possible due to a free internet,
true.
due to the cypherpunk ideals, and we need to fight for that. And I'm happy you mentioned that it wasn't easy to talk about crypto in Lebanon in 2014 or even now today, and that a lot of people are sticking their neck out. I always felt that's why my platform is here, is because I do this from the luxury and safety of a European government, which will not storm into my house because I'm talking about crypto to
Yeah,
people online,
true.
you know? And I think it was Snowden. I mean, Snowden says a lot of wonderful things, but about the idea that privacy is not just to be fought for just I don't want to misquote him. I don't want to misquote him, but it's the idea that basically people like me can advocate for privacy because those who really need it, they can't.
True.
Those who are silenced by default, they can't stick their
100%.
neck out and say, "Oh, I need privacy." No,
Yeah,
it's
100%.
people like me that have the luxury of safety, of being in a regulated environment where I have water and fresh air and hey, electricity. Like I had
True.
people the other day that couldn't join the talk that we had with about Lebanon because they don't have electricity or they have
True.
like, 10 minutes a day or they don't have
True.
bandwidth and it's like, yeah, so I have that luxury of being able to just host people
Yes.
like you, Tay,
Thank
on
you.
this platform and will continue to advocate for
Thank you.
cryptocurrencies really and for
Thank you.
Lebanon and all these countries and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
I'll make sure to leave all the links below
Yeah.
for people to reach out to you if they want to support, if they want to contribute their time, their knowledge, their software development skills. um, that's what I can offer and
Thank
it's
you.
been an absolute honor, Tay,
It's
to
the honor is mine.
have
The
you.
pleasure is mine as well. And as you said, we're talking in this safe space here. I'm in The Hague, my own
Yeah,
office, and I can have a big mouth and talk about
yeah.
everything. While many in Lebanon and Afghanistan, they can't even, put a TikTok video outside. Or in Egypt, you put a controversial TikTok video, you sent to jail 5 years, 7 years. So the freedom of talking about humans in crypto is a blessing by itself. I thank you for the platform. I thank everyone who will watch this to the end. And I hope I see you in person,
Yeah,
and
inshallah, soon.
inshallah, big
When
events, and we share more good stories, more good vibes,
definitely.
and we inspire more people to really use crypto and show others how that the change is coming.
Yeah. On those wonderful words, to financial freedom, to censorship resistance, and to peer electronic cash. Tay,
Amen. Thank
till
you.
very soon.